Welcome back to the Mind Body Project. Thanks for taking a little time to join me today. A couple weeks ago, I shared with my inner circle, it's a weekly group I have that we meet via Zoom, and we talk about different topics, strategies for mindset growth and personal growth. And this is a topic I shared with them a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to share it with each of you because I just thought it was just so important about the mistakes that we make when it comes to change. So, I mean, we're still just a couple months into the new year, and we're always New Year's, of course, has resolutions of I want to do this, I want to do that, and studies show that those about this time, about the first part of March, is when those start to fall off. But we all want to make changes, whether it's the first of the year, middle of the year, end of the year. We're always talking about the changes we want to make. We all have different things we want to change, whether it's maybe it's our eating habits, maybe it's our exercise habits, maybe it's our work habits, maybe it's our relationships. We all have these different areas in our life that we want to change. And we, as we look back, we probably think, well, I didn't make changes here, I didn't make changes there. And there's three mistakes that we make when we're trying to make changes, when it comes to changes. And those mistakes, as we talk about them, as I point them out, you're going to go, oh yeah, I get that. That's me. And so we're going to kind of go over those so that way, because when we make a mistake, it's okay to make mistakes if we learn from those mistakes. If those mistakes help us grow, help us become better, then mistakes are so important. My kids, I want them to make mistakes. I think it's so important as parents, as our kiddos are growing up, and even when my wife and I, Kim, our kids were in school, in high school, we challenge them to do things on their own, to whether it's go talk to a teacher, whether it's join an organization, whether it's to take a leadership position. We challenge them to do those things so they're still home with us, and we can kind of be a safety net, but yet they have the opportunity to go out and try things and mess up. And even if we see those mess ups coming sometimes, we, as parents, we allow those to happen, because when those happen, we learn from those, and they're great teaching moments to say, you made the mistake, this happened or that happened, why did that happen? And we talk through what the reason for that was. And that's a great time as our kids are about to leave to let them know what it feels like to make mistakes. Talk about learning moments. And I think so many times once we get out of our parents' house, we move on, we become adults, we don't want to talk about the mistakes. We don't want to talk about the places we messed up, the things we should have done differently. Of course, hindsight is 20/20. It's easy to look back and say, I should have done this, I should have done that. It's so easy. So we're going to talk about the three biggest mistakes when it comes to change and how to adjust those. And the first, most important thing is to recognize those. We have to recognize mistakes when we make one, go, man, that was a mistake. I messed up on that. How can I make it better? Same thing that Kim and I did with our kiddos. You made this mistake. How can it be better next time? How can we change it in the future? Because through life, we're going to have those mistakes. We're going to have those mess ups. But there might be a different situation. There might be a different job, a different relationship. Whatever it is, we make those mistakes, but they're going to be in different areas. And when we teach our kids, when we teach ourselves, we know how to better deal with those mistakes later. So the first one I want to talk about, the biggest mistake we have when it comes to change. And if you look back and say, I'm not changing the way I want to. I'm not making those advances in my career. I'm not making my food changes. I'm not making exercise changes. I keep attracting the same type of people, and I'm just tired of that. The first thing, we often focus on the behavior when we should really be focusing on the person we want to become. So, Aaron, what do you mean? What are you talking about? So we often the behavior. We'll take food, for example. I want to eat better. Okay, so, you may be having a diet of fast food 2-3 times a week. You're having snacks 5-6 nights a week. You're having lots of sweets. That's the behavior. You want to change that. So you say, I'm going to start eating healthier foods. I'm going to stop eating out. I'm going to cut my snacks back to just a couple nights a week. I'm going to cut out all sugars. I mean, we do this complete 180 on the behaviors. Because that's what we focus on, and that's a majority of the time when we make a New Year's resolution, we talk about the behavior that we want to change. When we should really be focusing on the person we want to become. What does that person look like? And I've talked about this for years, about deciding and figuring out, who do you want to become? Who do you want to be? For me, I have an image of who I want to be, the type of person I want to be. I can see him in the future. I can see him, whether it's on stage speaking, I can see him doing a podcast, I can see him on YouTube, I can see him working, I can see him being with his family. I can see him doing all these things. And he has these certain characteristics. And so the changes I make are gearing towards that person. What would he do? What would future Aaron do? How does future Aaron eat? Future Aaron makes a habit of not eating out at all. He makes it a habit of not having soft drinks. He makes a habit of exercising daily because it makes him feel better. It makes him think better. It makes him move better. He's 60 and 65 and 70 now, and he's in great shape, and he can do things with the kids, the grandkids. He can, has plenty of energy. So, and I've mentioned before too that I've actually written my eulogy. And that eulogy, and it sounds like, whoa, what are you doing writing your eulogy? But when that is who, on my last day, that is the person that I want to be. It's a person that has impacted the world. Well, there's some choices and decisions to make if I want to impact the world. A podcast might be a place to start. The weekly Mind Body Project reaches all over the country. It's reached China, it's reached Australia, it's reached India, it's reached Russia, it's reached the Netherlands, it's reached all over the world. So part of my eulogy is I want to be a person who makes an impact on the world. So 1 or 2 listeners in those different countries, it comes up and you go, wow, I'm making an impact. Because of this little podcast, I get to be heard around the world. And it's, so I start, I was mentioned before, I was scared for years to start the Mind Body Project because what are people going to think? What are they going to say? Are they going to listen? Are they not? But if I'm working towards the person that I want to be in the future, I have to do it. I have to. It's not a behavior change. That's what future Aaron is doing. If he's impacting the world, he started with a podcast. Now there's going to be one day where he's going to move onto a big stage and talk to thousands of people at one time, and still have a podcast. And I branched out into YouTube this year. All the podcasts for the Mind Body Project is videoed now, and I put it on YouTube because now I can reach another audience. If they're like me, I listen to podcasts, but I listen to all of them on YouTube because I like to see the people. I like to see the person talking. I like to see their interviews. I like to see their interaction. I like to see the way they move, the body language, all those things. So part of going into YouTube, and it's a lot more work because I have a light, I have a camera now, I have to set up a microphone. It's not just sitting in my office recording a podcast on my computer. Now I have all these different things I had to learn to be able to work towards the person I want to become, which is one that impacts the world. And so I do that by learning how to edit a YouTube, learn how to do lighting, learn how to mix my sound and audio, learn how to upload it to YouTube. All these different things I've had to learn because that's what future Aaron is doing. He's making an impact on the world. And it all starts with these small steps. So I have to live up to that identity of future Aaron. And so that's what I encourage you to do, is stop focusing on the behavior, but focus on who do you want to be. If I say, who do you want to be in 10 years? I mean, I'm sure you could tell me, what are the things you don't want right now? You could rattle off a gazillion different things. If I said, who do you want to be in 10 years? You'd have to really think about it. And that's part of the change, is knowing who you want to be in the future and having that identity, and then you do things in the present that the future you is already doing. I'm doing stuff now in the present that future Aaron has already done. He's already done podcasts. He's already done YouTube. He's already spoke on stages in front of thousands of people. He's probably already had a TEDx talk. He's done all these things. And so I'm working to live up to future Aaron. I'm trying to catch future Aaron. So when you start doing those things, you're changing your identity. You're not just changing behavior. Yes, we're only going to make it a couple months into the new year with our new behavior. But if we change our identity, now I'm somebody that exercises every day because it just makes me feel good. I eat good because, man, it gives me all this energy to exercise, to be able to do different events, to go speak to people, to do a podcast, to do a YouTube. It just makes me feel better. It make my skin better. It makes me just feel better. So have to identify your future identity and stop just focusing on the behavior. That's one of the biggest mistakes we make, is we focus on the behavior instead of who do I want to be. Not what do I want to do, but who do I want to be. And the second thing is when we decide who it is we want to be, who is it ourselves that we want to be, then we have to set, a lot of times, and we don't do this, we don't set clear and specific goals. We say, I want to lose weight. Okay, if you lose an ounce, you've lost some weight, goal met. If my goal is I want to speak to some people. Well, today I've had clients and I've been training and coaching, and I mean, I spoke to some people. So no, my big goal is to speak to 20,000 people live. And so that's a number. We have to set specific targets, because if we don't set a target, if you just shoot an arrow and it goes out in the wind, it doesn't hit anything. You don't know if I was shooting right, I was really meaning to hit left, but it doesn't matter because I wasn't shooting at a target. If I have a red bullseye target in front of me, I pull the arrow back, I let it go. If it goes to the right or to the left, I know, okay, I need to, maybe it's my aim, maybe it's the wind, maybe the sun was in my eyes. There's a whole lot of different factors that I can start to adjust now. I don't do a lot of target practice, but if you have a gun and you have a target in sight, and maybe it's a long distance, maybe it's 800, 1,000 yards away, you have to account for all types of things, the wind velocity and how you're holding it and distance. I mean, all these things that I don't know about, but you have to adjust for those, whether it's your sights, whether it's the grain of the bullet, all these different things. But if you don't have a target to shoot at and you just shoot out into nothing, out into the air, you're not going to know what you need to adjust. And so we can't do what we don't clearly define. I just love this analogy. If there's a ship out on the ocean, there's no crew, there's no engine, there's no sails, it's just floating along. It's just going to go wherever the water takes it. So is it ever going to get to a destination? It might, and it might not. But if it does, it's going to be totally by accident. Where if we take a ship that we have navigation on it, we have a crew, we have a captain, we have some sails maybe, we have a motor, and we have a plan, a path that we're going to go, now we can start to say, okay, we might got into a storm, but the storm took us off our navigation a little bit, but now we know what do we need to do to get back on track to get to our destination. So those two ships are going to look totally different. One without anything is just going to end up just floating around the sea. Whereas one with the captain and the crew and the sails and the motor and all these different things, it's going to get to its destination. Even if it gets blown off course a little bit, some rough weather comes in, it's going to get back on course. And that's the thing. Goals give us a direction. If you see point A and you're at point B, then you know which direction you're going to go. It may be, we can look at a road map. A lot of times if we look at a road map, I know that's crazy. We like to pull it up on our phones and look at it. But even if you look at it on the phone, it's not a straight path. It is, you might come up with some detours, you may have to take a left, you may have to take a right. There's no straight path, but you know where you're going, so when you take a left or a right or a detour, you know that you're still going in that direction of your goal, of your target. I also, run races, whether it's mud runs and Spartans and half marathons and all those different things. I don't think, I'm not a big fan of running anyhow. I do it because there's a goal, there's a finish line. Would I run if somebody said, you're going to run and run and run and run, and we may or may not tell you when you're finished? You just keep running, and we may or may not. Would I run? No. Unless you're just one of those crazy runners, you probably wouldn't run either. Because, well, I'm going to run out of food, I'm going to get hungry, I'm going to get thirsty, I'm going to get tired. All these different things are going to come into play. So I doubt any of us would say, would buy into that, where we're just going to run and run and run with no finish line. Because we could run straight, we could run left, we could run right. We don't know where we're going, so anywhere we go is the right place. But we never know when we're done. So goals and targets, they give us something to measure by. And that's the thing, when we have a goal or a target, it has to be measurable. Again, if I just say I want to lose some weight, if I lose an ounce, I lost some weight. What if I say I want to lose 5 pounds? Now if I get on the scale and it says 3 pounds, I know I'm still 2 pounds away. If I get on the scale and it says I gained 2 pounds, now I know I'm 7 because I wanted to lose 5, but I gained 2. If we have an X amount of dollars we want to make a year, if we come up short of that, let's say it's $20,000, we come up with 15, we didn't hit our goal. If our business is really cranking out and we do $25,000 this year, wow, we went $5,000 above and beyond our goal. But if we just say we want to make some money, somebody comes in and gives us $1, oh, we made some money. It's not a bad year. But is that really what we want? We have to make sure our goals are measurable. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, what are we looking for in a job? Does it meet this criteria? Check the box. Yes, yes, yes. Or what are we looking for in a relationship? What are we looking for in a friend? What are we looking for in a significant other? Do they check the box? Can we measure that? And that's how we set clear and specific goals and targets. And the last thing is, so we've talked about focus. Don't focus on the behavior. Focus on the identity. Focus on the person you want to become. And then second is, we don't set clear and specific targets. So we switch that we start setting those clear and specific targets so we can hit those. We know if we're off, we're on the mark, what direction we need to go. And the last one is, we try instead of we train. Let me break that down for you a little bit. A try, the way I look at it is, try is motivation. Aren't we all, especially, first of the year, we're motivated to, whether it's to get a new job, to get be in a new relationship, get some new friends, maybe it's to lose some pounds, maybe it's to get in the best shape of our life. I'm going to try to do all that. That's motivation. The first of the year rolls around, we're motivated. What happens about this time of year, about March, we're about 3 months into the year, oh, that motivation is starting to wane. All the excitement we had for maybe that new education, that new job, is starting to lag a little bit. I'm trying, but this came up and I want to go hang out with my friends. Oh, well, this came up and I got invited to this dinner and I ate all this food and we start having all these excuses that come up. Well, I'm trying, that's motivation. Motivation does not stick with us 24/7. It does not. So we try to rely on that motivation to carry us all year long to change our future self. But we have to change that now. And we're like, well, I'm trying. But that's motivation, and motivation won't be with us all the time. So we have to start digging into, we have to start training. And I like to say training is your discipline. So I might have an event I'm training for. There are days I don't want to get up. I don't want to go for the run. I don't want to eat the food I need to. But to hit that goal, I have to train. I have to be disciplined to do the work to get the results I want. So we take out try, because I'm not going to be always motivated. You're not going to be always motivated. It just doesn't happen. I don't care who you are. There are times when you're like, I'm just not motivated for whatever it is. We all have those things. It may be, some people just love to exercise all the time. I don't mind exercise and I like it. I'm not a big fan of cardio, but I like strength training. I just love it. And I have clients that would rather do cardio than strength train. So they're not always motivated to strength train. And I'm like, what? You're not motivated to do that? So we all have our different motivations. There's things that we're just motivated all the time about because we just like it. But typically the things that our future self is doing, we're not always motivated for. So we have to start training for that. Trying is just that momentary, I'm going to try to do that. And I always say that trying is giving yourself an out. When you say, I'll try to be there, I'll try to come to your event, that means I may or may not be there. I just want to give myself an out just in case, because it's possible that I could not be there. Instead of saying, oh, hey, your event, I'd love to be there. I'm going to be there. What time to start? I can be there. Because maybe your future self is somebody that always shows up. Maybe you don't like it that you always say, well, I'll try to be there. And a lot of times you don't show up. You don't come through. Maybe it's 50-50. And you want to be one of those people that your friends and everybody can count on, that when you say you're going to be there, you're going to be there. And that's somebody that you want to be in the future. So we go back to number one. We stop focusing on the behavior of I'll try, and we start focusing on the person we want to become. It's the person that shows up. And that means discipline. It may be 3 months out, and you say, yeah, I'll try to be there. But come the day before the event, the day before the thing, you go, I don't really feel like it. Where the discipline comes in, you say, hey, I'll be there. And 3 months later, you have things come up, you don't really feel like going, whatever it may be, you go, I don't feel like going. But I told them I was going to go, and I'm going to be there. I'll be there to help. I'll be there to support. I'll be there for whatever, because I said I was going to be. And training, the discipline, comes into effect when it's that time and you have to show up. It's that time to get out of bed at 4 a.m. to show up on the treadmill because you said you're going to do that, because you're a person that exercises. You're a person that lives a healthy lifestyle. It comes to when there's a plate full of good-looking food. You just take a small portion because that's the person who you are. You don't gorge out on the food because you said you wanted to be a person who takes care of themselves, who respects their body and takes care of it. You show up for that. There's not always times when we want to show the love, but that's who we are. We're a loving person, so we pour out that love on the person that may need it. Sometimes we don't want to be, but we do it because that's the person we are. We're a loving person. Sometimes we love people when maybe they don't deserve to be loved, or they feel they don't deserve it. And we just pour out that love on them and love on them, and it changes because we want to be that person that even if somebody does some things to us and it's not the best, and we want to show that love because that's who we are. That's who we're going to be. And we got to start doing that now. And that's the discipline when we don't want to do it. With every fiber in our being, we don't want to do it. But we know the future of us is doing it. The future of us is doing those things that I don't want to do right now. And that future you went through all those things. They went through that being tired and still getting the cardio done. They still didn't like doing strength training, but they did it. They didn't really want to love on that person, but they did it anyhow. They didn't want to go out of their way to do something nice for somebody, but they did. They didn't want to show up because they had other plans or something better come along, but they told that person, I'm going to show up for you. And they show up because they're disciplined, because they've been training and training and training. And sure, we're going to have mess-ups. We're going to have mess-ups. But when we become trained, those mess-ups are less and less and less. And what discipline is, it's forgoing what we want now. Because we have pain, there's always some discomfort now. And so we want to be comfortable. That's the way we're built. We want to be comfortable. So we try to get away from that pain now. So sometimes we have to go through the pain now, the discipline, the training, to achieve what we want on the other side of the comfort zone. That's where the greatness lies, is on that other side of the comfort zone. When we go through the pain now for the comfort later. Instead of giving up, instead of having comfort now and pain later. We go for comfort now, pain later. So the biggest mistakes is stop focusing on behavior. Focus on who you want to be in the future. Stop not setting your clear and specific targets, and start setting defined targets, those goals. What do you want to hit? Where do you want to go? And we're trying instead of training. It's a big mistake. So start training instead of trying. Be that person of discipline that does what they said they're going to do when it's not fun, when it's not comfortable, because the future you demands that you train today to meet them in the future. Hey, I'd love to connect with you. If you'd like help growing into the person that you want to be, I'd love to help you. Just contact me. You can go to aarondegler.com if you'd like to be part of my weekly inner circle, where we talk about topics like this and so much more, and strategies that you can take into your everyday life and apply immediately. Again, go to aarondegler.com to find out all that great stuff. If you want to just sign up for my email, if you want to connect with me via text, I send out a daily text. I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to help you achieve the future you, to identify that person and be that person that you want to be, and start changing those actions now to meet that person in the future. So you get there and go, oh, that's who I wanted to be. Oh, but I didn't get there. I didn't do the things because I kept making those mistakes over and over and over, and we will make those mistakes. But the goal is to make a mistake, learn from it, grow from it. We grow from our mistakes. If we don't learn and grow from our mistakes, then they're going to happen over and over and over. So I challenge you to grow from your mistakes, to learn from your mistakes, and I'd love to help you in that journey. If you'd like, just reach out to aarondegler.com and we can connect. And we can help you meet your future self. And please, as always, please share the show, whether it's on YouTube, make sure and like it, and share the show. If you're listening to anywhere you get your podcast, please share it, like it, and spread the word, because I'm the world, and all I do that is one listener at a time. So thank you very much for stopping by. I appreciate you taking time to stop by and visit with me today. Hey, we'll see y'all next time. As I tell my wife Kim every night before I go to bed, it's Bomb of the Ninth, Double A, out.